Tomorrow, February 6th, the Aries moon reaches its peak intensity, day 2 of the warrior moon cycle, and something ancient and powerful activates in women's bodies that most of us have been taught to suppress, pathologize, or apologize for our entire lives. I'm talking about rage, sacred, purifying, boundary-setting, life-protecting rage. And tomorrow, the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet, the lioness-headed deity of war, healing, and righteous destruction, steps into your energy field and asks you one simple question: what are you tolerating that deserves to burn? Because here's what nobody tells you about Aries moon energy, especially on day 2 when it's at full strength. This isn't gentle, contemplative, let's talk about our feelings energy. This is the cosmic permission slip you've been waiting for to finally stop being nice and start being honest, to stop managing everyone else's comfort and start protecting your own peace, to stop swallowing your truth because you're afraid of being called too much, too aggressive, or too emotional. Tomorrow, Sekhmet, the most feared and revered goddess in the Egyptian pantheon, hands you her fire and says, use it, not to destroy for destruction's sake, but to purify, to cleanse, to protect what's sacred. And I need you to understand something crucial before we go deeper into tomorrow's energy. The anger you've been feeling building over the past few days, the frustration that feels like it's sitting in your chest, your throat, your solar plexus, ready to explode. That's not a problem you need to fix. That's not shadow work you need to process through journaling and breathing exercises. That's Sekhmet rising in you. That's the part of you that knows, has always known exactly what needs to end, what boundary needs to be set, what person or situation or pattern has overstayed its welcome in your life. And tomorrow, for the first time in a long time, you're going to feel cosmically backed to express it without apology. I know that might sound intense, especially if you've been taught that anger makes you less spiritual, less evolved, less feminine. But let me tell you Sekhmet's full story, because understanding her essence will completely reframe how you see your own rage and why tomorrow's Aries moon is actually giving you one of the most powerful healing tools available. And honestly, this story is so visceral, so perfectly designed for this exact moment we're living in collectively, that I got chills when I realized tomorrow's moon was calling in Sekhmet specifically. In ancient Egyptian mythology, Sekhmet was created by Ra, the sun god. When humanity had become corrupt, disrespectful, and violent, they'd stopped honoring the sacred, they'd stopped living with integrity, they'd descended into chaos, and Ra looked at what humanity had become, and he felt what all of us have felt at some point, this deep, primal rage at injustice, at people taking advantage of kindness, at boundaries being violated over and over again, while we're expected to just smile and let it happen. So Ra created Sekhmet, a lioness goddess with the power to destroy entire armies, whose breath was described as desert wind, whose rage was so fierce that when she went into battle, the Nile River allegedly ran red with the blood of those who'd betrayed the sacred order. But here's the part that most retellings leave out, and it's the most important part for understanding tomorrow's energy. Sekhmet didn't destroy indiscriminately. She wasn't chaotic or uncontrolled. She was precise. She was surgical. She was righteous. She destroyed what needed to be destroyed, so that what was sacred could be protected and renewed. She was called the Terrible One, not because she was evil, but because she was unwilling to tolerate corruption, abuse, or violation of sacred boundaries. She represented the kind of anger that doesn't explode randomly at small inconveniences. She represented the kind of anger that builds when you've given chance after chance, warning after warning, and finally you realize this person, this pattern, this situation will never change unless I create the change myself. And there's another layer to Sekhmet that absolutely floors me every time I think about it. After her battle rage had accomplished its purpose, after she'd destroyed what needed destroying, she transformed into Hathor, the goddess of love, joy, beauty, music, and celebration, because that's what sacred rage does. When you use it correctly, when you use it to protect your boundaries and purify your life of what doesn't honor you, it doesn't leave you bitter or hardened. It clears space for joy, it makes room for love, it creates the conditions for your true radiant self to emerge. suppressed rage that you never express, that you constantly swallow and spiritually bypass. That's what makes you bitter. That's what hardens you. But expressed, sacred, boundaried rage that you channel into clear action, that liberates you. Tomorrow's Aries moon at peak intensity is a Sekhmet activation. It's the cosmic moment when you stop asking permission to protect yourself, when you stop wondering if your anger is justified enough to act on, when you stop managing other people's reactions to your boundaries, and when you finally let the fire burn away what's been draining your life force, disrespecting your energy, or violating your peace. Now, let me tell you what you've probably been feeling over the past 48 to 72 hours as we've been building toward this Sekhmet moment, because I guarantee this pattern is showing up in your life in some form. Have you noticed yourself getting disproportionately angry at small things? Like someone takes your parking spot and you want to scream, or someone interrupts you in a meeting and you feel this surge of rage that feels way bigger than the situation warrants. Or you see one more message from that person who always takes and never gives, and suddenly you want to block them, delete them, erase them from your existence entirely. That's not you being crazy or overreacting. That's Sekhmet rising. That's every boundary violation you've tolerated. Every time you said yes when you meant no. Every moment you made yourself smaller so someone else could feel bigger. All of it accumulating in your nervous system like dry kindling. And now the Aries moon is the match. One small trigger and the whole thing ignites. But here's what most people get wrong about this process. They think the anger is the problem. I need to calm down. I need to be more patient. I need to not let little things bother me. Wrong. The anger isn't the problem. The problem is whatever you've been tolerating that's been slowly building the rage to begin with. Tomorrow, SEKHMET'S says stop managing the symptoms and address the cause. What person, situation, pattern, or dynamic has been slowly poisoning your peace? What have you been hoping would change on its own if you just gave it more time, more patience, more understanding? Tomorrow you stop hoping and you start acting. Not from chaotic emotion, but from clear, boundaried, sacred fire that knows exactly what it's burning and why. Let me give you the astrological breakdown that makes tomorrow's Aries Moon Day 2 so powerful for this Sekhmet work, because this is where astrology becomes practical magic. The moon moves through each sign for about 2.5 days, right? Day 1 of any moon sign is initiation. It's fresh energy. It's let's try this on. Day 2 is peak. It's full expression, maximum intensity, the core essence of that sign, fully activated. Day 3 is transition. It's already starting to shift toward the next sign. The energy is waning. Tomorrow is day 2 of Aries Moon. That means this is not the beginning of warrior energy. This is the full embodiment of it. This is Aries at maximum strength. Plus, Mars, Aries' ruling planet, is currently moving through Pisces, which creates this interesting blend. Mars in Pisces is usually more passive, more indirect, more I'll manifest what I want through energy work instead of direct action. But when the moon is in Aries while Mars is in Pisces, it's like the universe is saying, you've done the inner work, you've processed, you've been patient, you've tried the gentle approach, now it's time to roar. The moon in Aries gives you the courage. Mars in Pisces ensures you're acting from intuition and spiritual knowing, not just ego reactivity. It's the perfect combination for sacred rage, and here's what makes tomorrow cosmically perfect for Sekhmet energy specifically. We're in the waxing phase, moving toward the full moon in Leo on February 1st. Waxing phase is building energy, accumulating power, growing momentum. Leo is the lion. Sekhmet is the lioness. Do you see how the entire cosmos is literally spelling out roar? Stop shrinking. Stop silencing yourself. Stop pretending you're not angry when you absolutely are, and you absolutely should be. Now let me tell you about the 3 zodiac signs that need Sekhmet's medicine most tomorrow. The 3 signs who are about to experience massive liberation through sacred rage, if they let themselves feel it, express it, and channel it into clear boundaries and decisive action. The first sign is Aries. Aries, sun, moon, or rising. This is literally your moon, your moment, your medicine. If you're Aries, you've probably been feeling this building for weeks, maybe months. This sense that you've been too accommodating, too patient, too willing to give people the benefit of the doubt when they've shown you exactly who they are over and over again. Aries is naturally direct, naturally honest, naturally boundaried, but sometimes Aries gets socialized into people-pleasing, especially if you're a woman, especially if you were raised to believe that being nice matters more than being honest. Tomorrow Sekhmet burns that conditioning to the ground. Tomorrow you stop editing your truth to make it more palatable. You stop softening your no to protect someone else's feelings. You stop explaining, justifying, or defending your boundaries. You simply state them and you enforce them. And if someone has a problem with that, that's their problem, not yours. This is your life, your energy, your peace. And starting tomorrow, you protect it like the sacred temple it is. Expect tomorrow to bring a moment, maybe in the first few hours after you wake up, where you just know. You know exactly what conversation needs to happen. You know exactly what boundary needs to be set. You know exactly what situation you need to walk away from. And for once, instead of talking yourself out of it, instead of giving it one more chance, instead of waiting for the right time, you act. You have the conversation. You send the message. You make the call. You end it. And I promise you, the relief you feel afterward will be so profound that you'll wonder why you waited so long. Single Aries, tomorrow might be the day you finally block your ex who keeps texting when they're bored. Coupled Aries, tomorrow might be the day you finally say, "This dynamic doesn't work for me anymore, and here's exactly what needs to change." Career Aries, tomorrow might be the day you stop tolerating disrespect from that coworker, boss, or client who's been crossing lines for months. Sekhmet doesn't negotiate. She draws the line and she protects it. Tomorrow you do the same. The second sign is Scorpio. Scorpio sun, moon, or rising. The Aries moon tomorrow moves through your 6th house of daily life, health, work routines, and service. For Scorpio, this manifests as rage at systems, structures, or people that have been extracting your energy without fair exchange. You're the sign that understands power dynamics better than anyone. You see who's really in control, who's really benefiting, who's really taking advantage. And when you realize you've been giving your power away through overwork, through overgiving, through letting people treat you like you're replaceable, you don't just get annoyed, you get volcanic. Tomorrow, Sekhmet activates that volcano, and instead of imploding it, instead of turning that rage inward into depression or self-sabotage like Scorpio sometimes does, tomorrow you direct it outward toward changing the actual situation. Maybe you're overworked and underpaid, and you've been telling yourself, "At least I have a job." Tomorrow you stop accepting crumbs and you demand what you're worth. Maybe you've been doing emotional labor for everyone in your life and nobody even says thank you. Tomorrow you stop doing it and you watch how fast people notice when their free therapist quits. Scorpio, you're intense by nature. You feel everything deeply, and tomorrow's Aries moon, in your 6th house, says that intensity isn't a problem, it's your power source. Your rage at injustice, at exploitation, at people taking advantage of your loyalty, that rage is information. It's telling you exactly where your boundaries have been, too porous. Tomorrow you rebuild them, higher, stronger, reinforced with Sekhmet's fire, so nobody mistakes your kindness for weakness ever again. Expect tomorrow to bring this moment of absolute clarity where you realize, I've been playing small in my own life. I've been letting people treat me like I'm not essential when I'm the one holding everything together, and instead of just realizing it and doing nothing, tomorrow you act on it. You stop over-functioning, you stop picking up slack for people who are perfectly capable of handling their own shit. You reclaim your energy, and you redirect it toward your own life, your own dreams, your own healing. Sekhmet teaches that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is let people experience the consequences of their own choices without you running in to save them. Tomorrow, Scorpio, you practice that radical form of love. The third sign is Capricorn. Capricorn sun, moon, or rising. The Aries moon tomorrow moves through your 4th house of home, family, roots, emotional foundation, and private life. For Capricorn, this manifests as rage at outdated family dynamics, ancestral patterns, or emotional expectations that you've been carrying that were never actually yours to begin with. Capricorn is the responsible one, the reliable one, the one who holds it together when everyone else falls apart. And often that role gets assigned so young that you never even questioned it. You just became the rock, the provider, the stable one. Even when you were drowning. Tomorrow, Sekhmet asks, what family burden are you carrying that you never agreed to carry? What emotional role are you playing that's exhausting you? What outdated loyalty are you honoring at the expense of your own peace? And more importantly, when are you going to put it down? Tomorrow, Capricorn, is when. Tomorrow you stop being the family therapist, the family bank, the family shock absorber. Tomorrow you remember that you're allowed to have needs too. You're allowed to say, I can't take care of everyone else's problems right now because I'm taking care of my own. This might show up as a difficult conversation with a family member who's been taking advantage of your generosity, or setting a boundary with a parent who still treats you like you're 12, or telling your siblings, I love you, but I'm not the solution to your crisis anymore. Capricorn, you're so good at being strong that people forget you also need support. Tomorrow, Sekhmet reminds them, and if they don't like it, if they guilt you, manipulate you, tell you you're being selfish, that's confirmation you're doing exactly what you need to do. Expect tomorrow to bring up old family wounds, old patterns where you sacrificed yourself to keep the peace. And instead of swallowing it again, instead of being the bigger person again, tomorrow you let yourself be angry. You let yourself say, that wasn't fair, that wasn't okay, and I'm not doing it anymore. Sekhmet teaches that family loyalty shouldn't require self-abandonment. Tomorrow, you practice loyalty to yourself first. Now let me give you the exact 24-hour Sekhmet activation timeline so you can channel this sacred rage into liberation instead of destruction. Tomorrow morning, first 6 hours after you wake up, this is peak fire. Your anger will be close to the surface. Don't suppress it. Don't spiritual bypass it with but I need to be love and light. Sekhmet is love and light, the kind that burns away what's corrupting your peace. Use this window to have the hard conversation, send the clear message, set the firm boundary. Do it early before your rational mind talks you into being more understanding. Tomorrow afternoon, hours 6 nons 12, this is when the aftermath hits. You've expressed your truth, you've set the boundary. Now comes the guilt, the second guessing, the maybe I was too harsh. Do not back down. That's just your conditioning, trying to pull you back into people-pleasing. Stay in your truth. Sekhmet doesn't apologize for protecting what's sacred. Tomorrow evening, final 12 hours. This is integration time. You've burned what needed burning. Now you rest. Now you let Sekhmet transform into Hathor, joy, celebration, softness. Go do something that brings you pleasure. Watch a movie. Take a bath. Dance. Laugh. Let your nervous system know, I protected myself and I'm safe. I set the boundary and I survived. Actually, I didn't just survive, I thrived. Here's your 3-step Sekhmet activation ritual to do tomorrow morning before you take your boundary setting action. Step 1. Sacred Rage Inventory. Get a piece of paper and write at the top, what am I tolerating that deserves to burn? Then write everything that comes to mind. Don't edit, don't justify, just list it. People who drain you, situations that disrespect you, patterns that exhaust you, dynamics that feel toxic. Write until you feel complete. Step 2. Choose your fire. From that list, circle the one thing that, if you addressed it tomorrow, would create the most relief, the most liberation, the most space for joy. Not the easiest one, the most important one, the one you've been avoiding because it feels too big, too uncomfortable, too risky. That's the one, that's where Sekhmet is calling you. Step 3. Lioness Roar Practice. Stand up, put your hands in fists at your sides, take a deep breath, and on the exhale, literally roar, make sound, be loud. Let your body remember what it feels like to take up space, to be heard, to be too much for people who prefer you small. Do this 3 times, then say out loud, I am Sekhmet. My rage is sacred. My boundaries are non-negotiable. What I protect today is my peace. Then go take the action. Now I need to be honest about the shadow side of Sekhmet energy because sacred rage can become destructive rage if you're not careful. First shadow, rage without discernment. If you're burning everything down tomorrow, your job, your relationship, your friendships, everything, that's not Sekhmet. That's chaos. Sekhmet is precise. She knows exactly what needs to go and what needs to stay. Tomorrow, act from clarity, not from reactivity. Second shadow, rage that's actually old pain. If the rage you're feeling tomorrow is about something that happened 10 years ago with someone who's not even in your life anymore, that's unprocessed grief, not current boundary violation. Sekhmet addresses what's happening now. Therapy addresses what happened then. Know the difference. Third shadow, rage as performance. If you're more interested in letting everyone know how angry you are than you are in actually changing the situation, that's ego. Sekhmet doesn't announce, she acts. Tomorrow, less declaration, more boundary enforcement. Here's what I believe is happening collectively with tomorrow's Sekhmet activation. We're living in a time when women especially have been told to manage their anger, to be more understanding, to give endless chances, to prioritize everyone else's comfort over their own truth. And that's creating a generation of exhausted, resentful, boundaryless women who are one minor inconvenience away from a breakdown. Tomorrow's Aries Moon says, what if your anger isn't the problem? What if it's the solution? What if letting yourself feel it, express it, and channel it into clear boundaries is actually the most spiritual thing you can do? All right, if you felt Sekhmet, activate while listening to this. If you're Aries, Scorpio, or Capricorn, and you already know exactly what boundary you're setting tomorrow, if you're ready to stop apologizing for protecting your peace, subscribe right now so you don't miss what's coming. In 7 days, Saturn enters Aries. In 11 days, we have the Ring of Fire eclipse. This month is teaching us how to reclaim our power. Drop a comment, your sign plus the boundary you're setting tomorrow. I'm reading every comment. I'm witnessing your sacred rage. I want to celebrate your liberation. Tomorrow, February 6th, Sekhmet hands you her fire. You can use it to protect what's sacred, or you can keep swallowing your truth and wondering why you're exhausted. The choice is yours, but I already know what you're going to choose, because you wouldn't be here if you weren't ready to roar. I'll see you on the liberated side.